What if I told you that a tiny 10-cent coin you could have once used to buy sweets in a Singapore hawker center in 1982 could today be worth $1,000, and that most people who still have one have absolutely no idea what to look for? If that sounds impossible, stay with me until the end of this video, because I am going to break down every single secret of this little giant. And if you love discovering hidden treasures in everyday change, do yourself a favor right now and subscribe to Coin Collection 1, because this channel is where ordinary coins turn into extraordinary stories. The coin we are diving into today is the 1982 Singapore 10 cents, a coin from the legendary Marine series, the very first coinage ever issued by the newly independent Republic of Singapore. To understand why this coin exists, you have to go back to the birth of a nation. Singapore became fully independent in August 1965, and for a brief period, it continued to use coins from the Malaysia and British Borneo era. But a proud new nation needed its own identity in its pockets. In 1967, the Board of Commissioners of Currency, Singapore introduced the first series of circulating coins, and the theme they chose was brilliant: the sea that surrounds and sustains the island. Each denomination featured a different marine creature. The 10-cent piece was given one of the most beloved and delicate creatures of all, the seahorse. The 1982 10 cents you are holding is therefore not just money. It is a time capsule from the crucial nation-building years when Singapore was transforming from a small port city into the global economic powerhouse we know today. By 1982, Singapore was in the middle of its second industrial revolution. Changi Airport had just opened, the MRT was being planned, and this little coin was jingling in the pockets of every schoolchild, worker, and merchant in the city. Let's talk about who created this miniature work of art, because great coins always have great artists behind them. The overall design concept for the Marine series is credited to the celebrated Australian artist and sculptor Stuart Devlin, who later became famous for designing coins for over 36 countries and for the Sydney 2000 Olympic medals. The obverse, the head side, features the national coat of arms of Singapore, designed by the legendary British coin designer Christopher Ironside, the same genius who designed the decimal coins of the United Kingdom. You can feel the precision of Ironside in the shield bearing the crescent and 5 stars, supported by the lion and the tiger, with the banner reading Majula Singapura. Devlin then took that formal state emblem and paired it with the incredibly charming reverse, the crowned seahorse, its tail curled, its body detailed with tiny rings, swimming alongside the words Singapore 10 cents. Now, let's get into the anatomy of the coin itself, because this is where serious collectors start paying attention. The 1982 Singapore 10 cents is struck in cupronickel, a classic durable coinage alloy composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This is what gives the coin its soft, silvery appearance without using any silver at all. It weighs 2.83 grams, has a diameter of 19.41 millimeters, and a thickness of about 1.4 millimeters. The edge is reeded, meaning it has those fine vertical grooves all around, a feature originally intended to prevent clipping in the days of silver coins, but retained here for tradition and to help the visually impaired. The coin is struck in metal alignment, meaning if you flip it top to bottom, both sides face the same way up. And if you are looking for a mint mark, you will not find one. All circulation strikes of this series were produced by the Singapore Mint with no mint mark at all, which is completely normal for Singapore. The absence of a mint mark is not an error, it is the standard. So how was it made? In 1982, the Singapore Mint in Senoko was operating high-speed presses imported from Germany. The process started with cupronickel strips rolled to exact thickness, then blanking presses punched out plain round planchets. Those blanks were annealed, cleaned, and upset to raise a rim. Then they were fed into coining presses at a rate of hundreds per minute, where a pair of hardened steel dies struck them with over 60 tons of pressure. The obverse die carried the coat of arms, and the date 1982, the reverse die carried that beautiful seahorse. After striking, the coins were inspected, bagged, and distributed to banks across the island. How many were made? This is critical to value. The Marine series was a workhorse series. In 1982, the mintage was substantial, running into tens of millions as the economy boomed and demand for small change surged. For the 10-cent denomination specifically, 1982 is not considered a low mintage key date like 1968 or 1969. It is a common date in circulated condition. That is exactly why most examples you find in an old jar are worth only 10 cents. So why are we talking about $1,000? This is where the story gets really exciting for collectors and where the myths and the realities separate. No regular circulated 1982 Singapore 10-cent coin is worth $1,000. The $1,000 valuation applies only to three very specific categories that every collector on Coin Collection One needs to know. The first category is top-grade mint state perfection. Grading services like NGC and PCGS grade coins on the 70-point Sheldon scale. A coin pulled from circulation might grade very fine or extremely fine. But a coin that was set aside in 1982, perhaps from a mint set, never touched by human hands, with full blazing mint luster, no bag marks, razor-sharp seahorse details, and perfect surfaces, could grade MS67 or MS68. In that super gem condition, Singapore Marine Series coins become condition rarities. Collectors building the finest possible registry sets will pay a massive premium for that perfection. The second category, and this is where the real $1,000 prices happen, is error coins. The Singapore Mint in the early 80s had quality control, but errors slipped through. The most valuable errors known for this date include dramatic off-center strikes, where the seahorse is struck 30 to 50% off the planchet, broadstrikes where the coin was struck without the retaining collar, resulting in a larger, thinner coin, and double-struck coins. There are also reports of wrong planchet errors, where a 10-cent design was accidentally struck on a 5-cent planchet. An authenticated, dramatic error on a 1982 10 cents is genuinely rare and can absolutely command 4 figures at auction. The third category is proof and specimen strikes. While circulation coins were made for commerce, the Singapore Mint also produced official uncirculated sets and proof sets for collectors. A 1982 proof 10 cents struck with specially polished dies, giving it mirror-like fields and frosted cameo devices, especially if it grades PF69 or PF70 deep cameo, is worth many times its face value. Let's talk about famous sales and market demand. Why does anyone want a Singapore 10-cent coin? Singapore coins are collected passionately in 3 huge markets, within Singapore itself, where there is immense national pride, in Malaysia and the broader Southeast Asian region where they circulated, and globally among collectors of British Commonwealth and marine-themed coinage. The Seahorse design is iconic, it is beautiful, and the first series is now completely demonetized and obsolete, replaced by the second interlocking series in 1985 and the current floral series. That obsolescence creates nostalgia and demand. While a standard uncirculated 1982 10 cents might trade for a few dollars, a certified MS67 has sold for well over $100, and a major mint error with authentication has crossed the $800 to $1,200 mark in specialist Asian numismatic auctions. So how do you know if yours is the valuable one? Here is your authentication and grading checklist. First, check the date and the seahorse. Make sure it reads 1982 and the seahorse details are crisp, not mushy, which would indicate a counterfeit cast. Second, weigh it. It must be 2.8 to 2.85 grams. If it is significantly lighter or heavier, you might have an error or a fake. Third, check it with a magnet. Cupronickel is not magnetic. If it sticks strongly, you have a problem. Fourth, examine the edge reading. It should be even and sharp. Fifth, look for signs of cleaning. Many beginners try to make their coin shiny by polishing it, and that destroys the collector value instantly. A cleaned coin will have hairlines and lose all its value. Never clean your coins. If you think you have a high grade or error coin, preservation is everything. Hold the coin only by its edge. Never touch the faces. Place it immediately in a non-PVC mylar flip or a 2x2 holder. Store it in a cool, dry place away from humidity, which is the enemy of cupronickel and can cause unattractive spotting. Do not keep it loose in a drawer where it will get scratched. And for any coin you believe could be worth hundreds, invest in professional grading from NGC or PCGS. Authentication is your passport to realizing full market value. For investment potential, here is the honest advice from a numismatic perspective. Do not expect every 1982 10 cent to make you rich. But as Singapore's economy continues to grow and its early coinage becomes older and harder to find in pristine condition, high-grade marine series coins are steadily appreciating. They are a wonderful, affordable entry into Singapore numismatics with a real upside if you focus on quality, not quantity. The smartest collectors are assembling complete date sets of the 10-cent Seahorse in MS65 and better. There are also some wonderful myths and interesting facts. Some people believe the Seahorse is a dragon, a nod to Singapore's mythology, but it is indeed Hippocampus cuda, the common seahorse found in Singapore waters. Another myth is that any coin with no mint mark is an error, which, as we discussed, is completely false for this coin. And here is a fun fact. The Seahorse design was so loved that when Singapore changed its coins in 1985, there was public outcry and many people hoarded the old marine coins for years. So let's bring it all together. The 1982 Singapore 10-cent coin is a small masterpiece of history, art, and engineering. In average circulated condition, it is a charming piece of nostalgia worth a few cents. In pristine, top population mint state, it is a desirable collector's prize worth over $100. But if it is a dramatic, authenticated mint error or a flawless MS68 or proof 70 gem, that is when you enter the $1,000 territory we talked about at the start. That is why you must always look twice at your old coins. If you learn something new today, if you are now going to run and check your old coin collection, then I have done my job. Please give this video a big like, it really helps the channel. Share it with a friend who loves coins or Singapore history, and leave a comment below. Do you have a 1982 Seahorse 10 cents, and what condition is it in? I read every single comment. And most importantly, if you have not already, subscribe to Coin Collection 1 and hit that notification bell, because next week I am revealing another small coin with an even bigger secret, and you will not want to miss it. Thank you for watching, and happy collecting!